pre-calc, we're going to do the 4 biggest mistake problems that I saw on this test. So the first one is a motorcycle daredevil is planning a stunt to perform at the county fair. The ramp must be built to give him a 20% grade or slope. Hey, that's our first hint. We know that the slope of this line is 20% or 0.2 as a decimal. If the vertical height at the end of the ramp must be 12 feet to assure the stunt is a success, what must be the length of the horizontal run? So I'm drawing a ramp, not a very good one, but you get it. Vertical height we know is 12 feet. We are looking for the horizontal run, x. Well, I know my slope, which is a ratio of rise over run. So I know my slope is the change in y over change in x. We said rise over run. In this case, rise is 12 over a run of x. We don't know it, and that is equal to our slope, or 0.2. It's supposed to be a 0.2. And now we solve for x. 12 is equal to 0.2x. Divide both sides by 0.2. You should get x is equal to, oh gosh, 60 feet. All right, sorry my pen's kind of being weird. That's 60. Next problem was a multiple choice. Simplify 2 pi minus 8 to eliminate the absolute value from the expression. This was not a problem that it was asking you to solve. So if you selected A, you were definitely wrong. All they're asking is make this statement exactly the same without using the absolute value. So let me give you a different example, and I will say this was a almost exact problem from the homework, but whatever. So what if it was the absolute value of 3 minus 5, and it says eliminate the absolute values so that we have the same thing? Well, with the absolute values, 3 minus 5 is a negative 2, right? And then the absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. So what they're saying is we want to take away those absolute value symbols, but still get the same answer of positive 2. How would I do that? By rearranging. Instead of writing 3 minus 5, I would write 5 minus 3. We're going to get the same answer, but we don't have the absolute value. So in this example, 2 pi minus 8 is going to give us a negative number. Specifically, I think it's like negative 1.7 or something. And in order to get a positive version, all we are going to do is reorder those values. So instead of 2 pi minus 8, we're going to say 8 minus 2 pi. We get the same answer, the positive version, but without the absolute value symbols. Next one was this problem, which actually I'm going to say these answers on here were slightly incorrect, but we're still going to work through this because it's a great problem, and I gave you guys all credit back for this one because that was my mistake. We start with the negative 4 times the absolute value of negative x plus 5, which is less than negative 8. To start, we're going to divide everything by a negative 4. When we do that, remember we switch the sign. Negative 8 divided by negative 4 is a positive 2. And we still have the absolute value of negative x plus 5. Then we set up our 2 different inequalities. Negative x plus 5 is greater than 2. We don't touch anything. And then negative x plus 5 is less than negative 2. All right, in both of these, we're going to subtract 5. So negative x is greater than negative 3, or negative x is less than negative 7. Then we're dividing both of these by a negative 1. And again, we're switching the sign. So x is less than 3, or x is greater than 7. If I drew that on a number line, here's 3, here's 7. X is less than 3 is all that. X is greater than 7 is all this. So the correct answer should have been technically negative infinity to positive 3 or 7 to infinity d. But like I said, I didn't have that on your solution, so you all got credit for this one. That was my mistake. Last but not least, the one a lot of people got wrong was solving the inequality and using a sign chart. So we start by factoring. We can pull out an x, and we're left with an x squared minus 1 is less than or equal to 0. I notice this is the difference of squares, so x plus 1, x minus 1. And we do not want to divide everything by x. We are finding all the factors. All three of these are important factors. Don't lose them. So we set each equal to 0. And solve. So we would have x is equal to 0, -1, or +1. We take those to our number line. -1, 0, that's a 0, whatever, and 1. And now we need to figure out values between these intervals that we can test. I think the easiest one to do below would be like a -2 or a +2 above, and then between I would do 1/2 and -1/2. What do we do with these numbers again? We plug them into that original function. So -2 cubed minus a -2, and we just need to see what the sign is. -2 cubed is going to be a -8 plus 2. We still get a negative value. So I'm negative from -infinity to -1. If I plug in -1/2, that would be -1/2 cubed minus a -1/2. -1/2 cubed is going to be a -1/8, and then we technically have plus 1/2. I'm going to change that to everything over 8, so -1/8 plus 4/8, and I am left with, oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I'm left with a positive value here. I'm not going to plug in the other values here, but when you plug in 1/2, you should see it's negative, and when you plug in 2, you should see it is positive, which then lets us get our final solution. So they asked, where is it less than 0? Less than 0 right here and right here. Less than or equal to 0, so my final solution would be from -infinity to -1, and we can include -1 because I can be equal to 0, or from 0 to 1, including both 0 and 1.